Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. I'm speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. And today I am doing a video ranking all of the Star Trek movies, all 13 of them that have been made. I don't know, the last couple months I've been watching all the Star Trek movies. On Hulu they had all the old, the original and the Next Generation crew on there anyway, so I've been going through all the movies. I've seen all of them before, but it's been a while since I really watched any of the Star Trek movies. And so, I don't know, I thought it'd be fun to go through them all and rank them as I watch them. And anyway, so this is my personal ranking of them. Just say I am a Star Trek fan. I don't know if I say I'm not a Trekkie, I'm not a hardcore fan necessarily, but I do enjoy the show. I grew up kind of watching the original series when I was a kid. My parents used to watch it, the reruns, of course, because it's way before my time. And so I was grew up on Captain Kirk and Spock and McCoy and Scotty and Sulu and all of them, Chekhov, Uhura. Anyways, and I'd say I was just a kid though, so I was kind of enjoyed the shows at that time. Definitely enjoyed, always loved Spock, was always an intriguing character, always enjoyed his, fascinating, that's illogical, that kind of stuff. And obviously, really, the relationship between Kirk and Spock and McCoy especially really make the show. And someday I have to go through that series again. I've seen most of the shows. I don't know if I've seen every show. I know it only went 3 years, so there's probably not that many episodes comparatively. The show that really I love is Star Trek Next Generation. I used to watch that as a kid, all the new shows. My family, we used to sit and watch every new episode at night. And man, I love that show. Definitely one of my top favorite shows of all time. I love Captain Picard, and Data is probably my favorite all-time character. Another character who shows no emotion for some reason, but I find that so interesting. The character that's trying to figure out human, how kind of like Spock. I love how Data and Spock both are trying to figure out how humans work, and it's very intriguing. I love Worf, is such a great character. Of course, Riker, Geordi LaForge. I mean, just a great cast, and so many great, interesting episodes. And I'm a fan of sci-fi fantasy, and I love what you can do with a TV show like that, and different story plots you can make up. Because when you do sci-fi or fantasy, obviously you're putting kind of magic into the show, and so when you have magic, anything could happen. You can have all kind of crazy characters that can do all kind of crazy supernatural things, and it makes the stakes really high. It makes it seem real impossible to defeat the villain, because as you know, like in a Star Trek show and a lot of sci-fi shows, aliens are always more advanced than humans. They're stronger, better technology, they have supernatural powers. And so it's interesting how the Star Trek crew, somehow overcomes that. Anyway, so yeah, definitely a big fan of those two shows. Obviously, then Voyager, I've watched some. Deep Space Nine, I haven't really watched. So I haven't really watched the shows afterwards. So for me, it's really Star Trek Next Generation is really my show, and the original series a little bit too. But anyways, so that's my background with the Star Trek universe. So if I'm ranking Star Trek movies, number 13, the worst of the worst, is the very first Star Trek movie, Star Trek the Motion Picture, as it was called. I didn't put down what the dates were, but obviously this was over 10 years after the show ended. The show was from, 67, somewhere around there, 69. It was like 3 seasons in the late 60s. It didn't really catch on because, I don't know, sci-fi didn't really catch on yet, I guess. And then after we landed on the moon in 69, I think sci-fi started to catch on a little more. And then the Star Trek reruns were doing really well after that. And so because of all that, they decided to make a movie. And I'm thinking it's the late 70s when the Star Trek motion picture came out. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was like late 70s. And so bringing back this crew together and trying to bring out a story plot line that's worthy of a movie, and this did not do it at all. Everything about this movie, they just did the absolute worst they could do with this with this series, or with this group of this cast. I mean, the look of the movie looks terrible. The uniforms, they try to redo the uniforms and they look terrible. And when you look up trivia for the show, as I was looking up trivia stuff, uh, everybody thought the uniforms were terrible. The cast thought it was terrible. I don't know. The director was trying something different, I guess. And the director, interesting, was, I believe it was like Robert Wise. He was like a 2-time Oscar-winning director, but he doesn't know Star Trek, I don't think, or he did musicals, so sci-fi wasn't really his genre, I don't think, and so he definitely did not fit the movie. The director, even though he's a good director, it just was the wrong director for this movie. I said because the overall look was so bad. The whole plot line was this alien ship thing that's alive is going towards Earth and has destroyed like a space station on its way, so they think it's hostile. So the Enterprise has to go talk to it and see what its motivation is, why it's going towards Earth. And that's like the whole movie, them talking to the ship. There's this bald chick that the ship like kidnaps and turns her into like a vessel for the ship. Anyways, and then they find out that it was like, anyway, spoilers for the movie. They find out like it was like, it used to be an old starship, the Enterprise starship, or something like that, trying to go back home to Earth or something like that. Anyways, it's just not a great plot. It's pretty boring, extremely boring, very slow moving movie. There's so many shots where it's like nothing is happening. Like there's one where they go through like a black hole or something, and time like stops or something, and they're trying to do like these weird psychedelic things, and it's just a really boring scene where like nothing happens at the end of it. So I mean, there's a lot of scenes like that where it's just nothing's happening. It's just so slow paced. It feels like the movie's going nowhere. It's terribly written and directed, and then the characters themselves do not work well together. Spock comes in and he's like a total jerk to everybody, and it's like, wow, this isn't the Spock I remember. He's very cold to everybody. Even Kirk is a bit of a jerk, very unlikable. I say all the characters are very unlikable, and the great thing about the show is they are likable characters. And what's great about the show is, really, to me, what makes that show, Star Trek, so great is that relationship, the camaraderie between Kirk, McCoy, and Spock. Those three are really kind of the main core of the show, and when they're together, it makes the show fun, and that's what you need to make a movie. You need those three characters work together well, and they did not work together well at all. So it's totally abomination to the whole character series. I mean, it's just an abomination to Star Trek, I think. And so that's why I got Star Trek: The Motion Picture number 13. Number 12, I have Star Trek: Insurrection. This is, I think, came out late 90s. This is the third in the Star Trek generation episodes. I guess it's, ninth overall, the ninth Star Trek movie ever made. And coming off of a really good movie, First Contact, this is one where another one where just the plot line is just so weak for a movie. It's the problem with Star Trek is you try to make a movie. Movie can easily, a lot of these movies feel like just another Star Trek episode. I mean, like if this was just an episode of Star Trek, it would be okay probably. But if you're making a movie, you want to make it what I call cinematic. You need a big plot, really interesting plot line, and something big to happen, and to really keep the audience wanting to watch this for an hour and a half to 2 hours, instead of watching just, a 40-minute show. And so this one, to me, was maybe one of the worst plots that I've ever seen in a Star Trek, where it's this, there's these weird, of course, Star Trek, so there's weird names of alien species. I'm forgetting now the name. It's just like, but there's one alien species that it's on a planet that that makes you live for like a really long time. Kind of almost like a fountain of youth type planet where you stay young forever, basically, and don't age, and you live for hundreds and hundreds of years. And there's this alien species that wants to drive everybody off this whole aliens. They look like humans, but they're aliens, I guess, off this planet because they want to use the resources, the Fountain of Youth resources to, I guess, distribute to other people. I don't know if to make money. I can't remember exactly, but that's the whole plot. Is like it's just about this one planet and this one alien species, and it's really about Picard rebelling against the Federation because the Federation is helping this other alien species. Um, and so it's all about Picard and the crew kind of rebelling against the Federation and fighting for this group on this planet. And that's the whole plot. And it's just, yeah, it's like, that's not enough for a movie to me. It's very, very weak. It's somewhat humorous at times, but maybe too much. The humor doesn't always work, especially Brent Spiner's Data. Uh, a lot of his humor does not work well, I think, in this movie. Like I said, I love Data. It's my favorite character. But yeah, just a really weak, structured movie, I think. That's why I got number 12, Star Trek Insurrection. And number 11, I have Star Trek Beyond, which is the very last movie that was made with the reboot crew. It's the 13th movie in the whole series. And I don't know, I just felt like they came with this interesting idea to reboot the series and have the original crew, but different actors playing the original characters like Kirk and Spock and all that. And it was an interesting idea at first, but once we get to this movie, I feel like, I don't know, the characters just aren't as good as the original crew. Like, they don't have that chemistry that I think, Shatner and Nimoy and all of them had. And so, and that's because they had a TV show where they kind of, you spend a lot of time with these characters in the TV show, and so when we get to the movies, they just, you're very familiar with them, and you like the characters, and that's what makes it work. Trying to put in new, younger actors into these roles, it just doesn't work as well to me. And so by the time we got the third one, like, the storyline was just, I don't know, just didn't seem that great. It didn't seem like anything special to me, anything real original. I won't even go to what happens. Just, I don't know. Just watching it, I was like, I'm just kind of done with this group. I guess to me, by third movie, I was like, I'm done with this group already. It's only the third movie, but I just don't feel attached to these characters or to this cast anyway. So that's why I put Star Trek Beyond, number 11. Number 10, I have Star Trek Nemesis, which is the fourth, it's 10th movie overall, fourth and last of the Star Trek Next Generation crew. This is, I think, definitely amongst Star Trek fans, this is definitely usually one of the worst of the series. I think it did not do very well in the box office and very critically not liked, I guess you should say. And I remember being very disappointed when I saw it in the movie theater. Like I said, because I'm a big fan of the Star Trek Next Generation cast. I don't know, it's just kind of a dark movie. It's really weird plot line of this character, Shinzon, I think his name is, he's like a Romulan, but they're called like Ramus or something like that. Yeah, Ramuses or something. And he's a clone of Picard. The Romulans made a clone. He's younger, of course, but he's supposed to be Picard when he's younger, I guess. And he's played by Tom Hardy, which is like the first big role Tom Hardy ever did. Which Tom Hardy's a good actor, but it's strange seeing him in this role as the bad guy here. And he doesn't really look or sound like Picard, so it's always weird when you're watching the movie and you're like, this is a clone, but it doesn't really seem like a clone. So I don't know, the plot doesn't really work very well. And it's just him, wanting revenge against Romulans, wants revenge against Federation, needs Picard's blood to keep alive because he's a clone, I guess, and he can't live forever. Anyways, I don't know, it just didn't work well. And there's this weird scene where Diana Troy and Riker are on their honeymoon, I should say, and they're making love, and somehow Shinzon, the bad guy, gets put into Riker's body or something like that, or somehow gets into Troy's mind, and it's like he's like having sex with Janet Troy, so it's like this weird almost rape scene, and it's very awkward and very disturbing kind of scene that I just never liked, and watching again, it just does not work at all. Really did not like it. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of negatives. I will say the only thing is I get a little teary-eyed at the end because it's the last time we ever see this Next Generation crew, and I have so much So I had some emotion about saying goodbye to them because I do love the character so much. And you do see Riker and Troy get married, which is great because they always had an on-off again relationship. So I loved seeing that they got married. That was great. And then there's a scene at the end where Riker is going off to, I think, captain another ship. And so there's a handshake and a goodbye. And it seems like the crew is breaking up. They're going their separate ways kind of thing. So that kind of made me almost cry just because I was just emotionally involved with the characters. Even though it wasn't a great movie, I just hate seeing the characters leave, So just to say, that's what makes me put this up a little higher than the other movies on my list. So number 9, I got Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock, third movie in the series, obviously. And really, my major criticism for the movie is that the whole movie is, spoilers alert, I have to spoil, Star Trek 2: Wrath of Khan. Spock dies at the end. They jettison him into space, basically. He lands on this planet with the Genesis thing, mechanism thing that makes dead plants alive or whatever, grows, vegetation, all that. And so, because his dead body lands on this planet with this Genesis, whatever, I guess, resurrects Spock's body in a way. And so, of course, we couldn't leave with Spock dying. We had to get him to come back alive. So we had to make a whole movie just so that we go get Spock, Spock's alive again, and try to get him and bring him back. And the Federation told them they can't do it, of course. So they're going against rules. So they're going rogue, that whole thing. So I don't know. The plot to me is a little weak. It's just about going to get Spock. And then my major criticism why I don't like this movie is that Spock's not in it, that Leonard Nimoy's not in it. And he's like my favorite character. And he's the reason why you watch Star Trek is, like I said, you want to watch it because you want to see Spock, McCoy, and Kirk working together. That's what makes the show good. That's what makes these movies enjoyable too. And so when you take one of those characters out, it just totally ruins the movie to me. And that's why I got at number 9. Number 8, I have Star Trek V: The Final Frontier. This is kind of known as like the worst movie in the series. People really don't like this movie. It's definitely got a really strange plot line to it, where Spock has a stepbrother who is kidnapping the Enterprise. Basically, takes over the Enterprise. Because he heard from some being calling himself God, and calling him to this one section of the universe to because he needs him or whatever. So it's searching God. So we're implementing that God exists, and he is given this Vulcan a mission to get the Enterprise and bring it to him. Anyway, so that's the whole mission. So it's definitely an interesting plot line in that way. Yeah, it's for the most part, I say the last 20 maybe minutes is actually pretty good. I actually quite enjoy it. That's why I have it a little higher than probably other people put this at the bottom of their list. But I do love when they go meet this God, which turns out he's not God. He's an alien that is trapped in this planet and needs a starship to get off, I guess, basically. So that's why. But he has some supernatural powers that he can reach this Spock's brother character. And there's this great line of, he needs a starship. I think he says he needs a starship because he needs to spread. He wants to spread his word or something. And Kirk says, "Pardon me, what does God need with a starship?" And it's such a great line that, then God just goes crazy and starts trying to kill them. It's like, well, you're not God. You're kind of a maniac. Anyways, that's a great line. I also love Spock's brother has this magical power that he can take your pain away. Not physical pain, but like mental pain that you have of the past. Painful memories, basically. Take away your painful memories in your life. And that's how he kind of gets people on his side, because he's able to do this and kind of gets this like cult following. And he tries to do it to Kirk, and Kirk says, "No, I need my pain. My pain makes me who I am." And I love that line. That's a great line. I think it's true in real life. Besides that, I don't know. It's just a weird plot line. It's kind of a boring movie. It doesn't really work that well up to the last scene. I would say the last 20 minutes or so, and then there's whole Klingon also following them. Anyway, so yeah, so I have that number 8. Number 7, I have Star Trek Into Darkness, which is the second movie in the reboot series. And I guess my main thing is, it's like J.J. Abrams, very good director. Does action very well. It's a very good looking movie. It does a good job of doing action and comedy in there. But the overall plot is just like they redid the Wrath of Khan plot in a way. They brought back, spoilers, they bring back Khan. Except Khan is Benedict Cumberbatch, so he's an English white guy. And it's like, and to me, I was like, that's not Khan. Khan is Ricardo Montalban. He is the ultimate Khan. He's the better Khan. And so it's just weird to me that they try to bring back the character Khan. Well, it's like, why bring back a character from another movie? Give us new ideas. Don't retread old ones. And so that's what kind of doesn't really work for me. It's an okay movie, I guess. It's not terrible. I'll put it in the middle. It's the middle of my list. It's a middle movie. It's not terrible. I can watch it, but I don't know, the overall plot I just didn't care for. Didn't get why they did it that way. So number 6, I have Star Trek. The only movie in the series just called Star Trek with nothing behind it. It is the first movie of the reboot series where they took Christopher Pine and some of the other actors, I'm forgetting their names, put new actors into the old series of Kirk and Spock and all that, which is a weird idea because usually you want to, move forward with a new, of course, the original series and you have Next Generation. Then you think, okay, of course, it's been a while since we did Star Trek. In fact, at this point, we didn't think there was going to be another Star Trek after the Next Generation was over. Movie-wise, like, what are you going to do with movies? Are you going to make a Voyager crew movie, Deep Space Nine crew movie? Where are you going to go with it? And so it's interesting that they thought the best way is to bring back the original crew, but then put new, younger actors into the roles. It was an interesting idea, and for the most part, it's a enjoyable movie, I would say. Yeah, again, middle of the road, I think kind of movie. Well made, well done, directing, action-wise. Performances are pretty good. It's got some good comedy mixed in. Overall plot is like, it's another guy going through time. And they have this, well, what's interesting about the movie is that they alternate history by having this Romulan Nero travel through time and destroy, spoilers for the movie, he destroys Vulcan, which is Spock's homeworld, of course. And so then the whole idea is that the timeline is going to change from the original series because of this event. And so they can do anything they want with the crew that they couldn't do before. But yeah, it's all right. I still don't think it's as good as the original series cast, like I said before. And I don't know, I don't like Spock in this new series. I don't know, he just seems a little more, he seems angry or something. I don't know, he just doesn't have the warmth of Leonard Nimoy. And he has a relationship with Uhura, which doesn't make sense to me. Spock never had a romantic relationship. And why would Uhura want to be romantically involved with Spock, who has no emotions? I don't know, that didn't make any sense to me. But, it's an alright movie. So getting to the top 5, this definitely are good movies, I think. Definitely the best of the series. I actually quite enjoy. Number 5, I have Star Trek Generations, which was the first movie with the Next Generation group. Like I said, I love the crew. I love seeing the cast in a movie. They work so well together. It's an okay plot. With this Dr. Zoran who's trying to get to the Nexus, which Nexus is this, I don't know, what do you call it? This is a thing that's going through space that if you get into it, then you get to live the best of your life. It's like Christmas every day. Basically, everything you ever wanted is in the Nexus, and so you want to get to the Nexus. And and the whole thing is like the Nexus, but he's going to blow up a planet or something. Nexus is going to go through these planets and kill like millions of people. So we got to save all these lives. So the definitely stakes are there, I think, and all that. Like I said, and the crew's very good, Picard especially, and also Shatner comes back as Kirk. And that was the great thing, is that we got to see kind of a passing of the baton from the original series to the Next Generation with Kirk Of course, the original captain, and then Picard, and the Next Generation captain. Uh, Kirk, spoilers, Kirk dies in the movie, sacrificing his life to, you know, to save everybody. And so that was great. And I don't know, I thought Shatner actually gave probably the best performance of the Star Trek career as Kirk. I thought he gave a really good performance. And I love Picard and Kirk together. I mean, it's like that's the ultimate Star Trek fantasy, nerd fantasy, is seeing the two great captains together. And I thought they worked really well together, Patrick Stewart and William Shatner in those scenes. And that's what really made that movie kind of fun. Yeah, it's just, and there's some, like I said, Data is great. He gets a emotional chip, and so we get to see this whole thing with him showing emotions, and that's really great. Uh, yeah, it's just a really made really good, solid first movie to start off a new series, I thought. So that's number 5. Number 4, I have Star Trek 6, The Undiscovered Country. This is the last of the original crew. Very well done plot of, you know, they're trying to make peace with the Klingons, and then the Klingon ambassador gets assassinated, and they blame Kirk. They think Kirk and McCoy were involved with the assassination. They go through a trial. They get onto this undiscovered country, I guess is what the name of the movie is. They get on this planet that's like this ice planet, and kind of doing slave labor, and they have to get out before they get killed. And so they have to escape. And then also the Spock, who's now running the Enterprise, is now doing this investigation, trying to figure out who who assassinated the ambassador and who framed Kirk McCoy. And so you got a good investigation going on. And then there's a whole thing where they find out that he's trying to assassinate some other people, the leader of I don't know if it's the leader of something. Anyways, I'm forgetting, but so they have to stop another assassination plot. So overall, pretty good plot, pretty good way to end the series, into that series, I think, and really good send off for that crew, I think. And yeah, very well done movie. So that's why I got number 4. Number 3, I have Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. I mean, obviously, like I said, Star Trek the motion picture was such a abomination to the series. I'm surprised they did another one after that one. I thought they might say, you know, maybe Star Trek doesn't work as a movie series. But they came back with this one, and this one really revitalized the movie series. Star Trek kept it alive, really. And I love how they brought back Khan, who was in the original episode, Carter Montalban doing the character again. And he's such a great character, such a great bad guy, such a great foil to Kirk. And Montalban does such a great job in the character. And I love that reveal that, you know, that Chekhov has when he gets on this planet and realizes that Khan is there, and you're like, oh my gosh, Khan. And then the reveal to Kirk, who finds out Khan is there. I mean, that's such a great reveal. And you get the great Khan. The Shatner's such a, you know, really over the top dramatic acting, which really works. And yeah, just the back and forth between Khan and Kirk is so good. And that Khan really could have defeated the Enterprise, but he's like, you know, Ahab in the White Whale, whatever, Moby Dick, you know, he won't stop until he wants to kill Kirk so bad, destroy the Enterprise so bad. It's like he could have left and been alive, but he kept going, and that was his demise. And so, I don't know. So overall, yeah, definitely one of the fan favorites, I think, and that's for a good reason. It definitely was such a great turnaround from the first movie that really made it go, okay, Star Trek could work as a movie series. Anyways, so that's why I got Star Trek 2, number 3. Number 2, I got Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. Definitely one of my favorites movies. I mean, this is not just a good Star Trek movie, just a really good movie, real well made. Great script. I love the script of this movie and the way it's written, and interesting plot line of an alien species or whatever ship comes to Earth, and they're looking for 2 humpback whales, but the humpback whales are extinct, and so they're going to destroy Earth. And so the Star Trek crew has to go back in time to San Francisco in the I don't know, in the 80s, I guess, and they have to find two humpback whales to bring back to the future so that humpback whales can make their noises so the ship, the alien spaceship, doesn't destroy Earth. So definitely, the stakes are very high, and I love how there's kind of a time limit. They need to do this fast. They can't wait too long. They need to get these and get them back so they can save the planet. And then they get to Earth and they're on a Klingon ship, in fact, and it's not working. So now they got to split off. I love how they split off into groups and they got their own missions, and so everybody's got an important part of the whole mission. Kirk and Spock are looking for the two humpback whales. Chekhov and Uhura have to find a nuclear to get the Klingon ship running again. They have to get nuclear energy, so they have to go find a nuclear bomb on a army base, whatever, navy base, and get that, transport that to the ship, and then Scotty and McCoy have to go find. They need material to be able to build a tank to put the humpback whales in, because humpback whales need water, so they have to find out how to get the material to build a big tank to put on the ship. And even Sulu has to go get a helicopter so he can transport the. Anyway, so I'm just saying, everybody has a mission that's important to the overall mission. So I love them going off in different groups, and they're real fun. It's, of course, they're from the future back in the past, and so there's this fish out of water thing where they understand things like money. And I love how Spock even tries to analyze, why humans use such a curse words, what is the reason for, using curse words, So that's all kind of funny to see Spock kind of try to analyze that. And of course, Spock is way out of, his depth, because he's got to hide that he's a Vulcan, and he doesn't understand humans anyways. Now he's trying to understand humans from the past. Anyway, so there's a great dynamic there between Kirk and Spock. And I think this is probably the most humorous of the movies, which I love a lot of humor. In other, in dramas, in action, in sci-fi, I love when they can put a lot of good humor in there, and this one does a really good job with that. And I love how each time they solve one problem, another problem comes along. It's like, okay, we got the hunchback whales. Now something else goes wrong, so like, okay, now we got to fix this problem. Even when they make it back into the future, like they can't get the humpback whales out of the ship, something's going wrong, and the ship is like underwater. And Kirk has to dive underwater and try to, relieve this valve so that he can release the humpback whales. So it's like you're never done. When you think, okay, we accomplished it, we won, it's like, nope, something else happens, and we got to get over that. So you're never sure when the danger is gone. And so that's great when you're watching it. It keeps you on your toes. Anyway, so yeah, so really, really good movie. Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. Number one movie, definitely... again, another really, really just great movie is Star Trek First Contact. Number one. It's the second movie in the Next Generation. Number 8 overall. And what's great about this is they took probably the best villains of the Star Trek, of maybe all of Star Trek, the Borg, which is such a great villain. I say not one villain, but it's like a whole collection of villains. They're half human, half robot, kind of mixed in, and they're all connected to each other like a computer, and they're just cold and murderous and just show no emotions. Just the mission of, and they just want to take humans and make them Borg. And so that's the whole scary thing is like not only do they want to kill you, they want to turn you into a Borg too. So their numbers are growing because the more humans they can get into their collective, they can make them to Borgs. And so it's kind of a scary idea of like being turned into this half machine, half human kind of thing where you're not yourself anymore. You just do whatever the Borg want you to do. And they're kind of scary looking. They got a really cool, scary look to them. Anyways, it's definitely my favorite of the series. Of Star Trek. The show is the Borg. Whenever they come on as a villain, they're always the best villains. So it's great that they finally came up with a plot line to integrate the Borg. And it was actually, it's the best plot line of all the series. The Borg go back in time to when Dr. Cochrane develops the first warp drive for humans, for planet Earth. And because he develops that and he goes on a warp, his ship goes warp for the first time. He makes first contact with the Vulcans, and that's when they find out there's other alien species, of course. And then Earth becomes very successful. I mean, they very prosperous because they developed the Federation, the space program, whatever, and so that makes the economy great and everybody's lives get better. And so it's this very monumental moment in history, the most monumental moment in history. And so the Borg are going back to kill him, so he will never use the warp drive. And then the Earthlings will never get first contact, and so they'll never get into this prosperous era of history. So it's a great idea for a plot line. I mean, to go back and kill them before they start, before the Federation ever starts. That's how you destroy the Federation. Kill them before they even start. So that's a great idea overall, of course. And then they also would love to just take all the Earthlings and again put them into their collection of Borgs. And then you have the Borg actually take over the Enterprise, and so then you got this whole them fighting the Borg on the Enterprise and trying to figure that out. And those scenes are so good, especially the scene where they're on top of the ship and they're fighting the Borg and they're in these gravity suits. Really good scene. And then Brent Spiner gives another really great performance as Data as he's captured and he's talking to the Borg Queen, which is this new character that they developed. Anyways, and what happens between him and Picard and trying to save him is so good. You love seeing that because they love each other so much. These characters. And then I love the whole Cochrane. He's like this idol. He's this people that they, he's like George Washington. They look up to Dr. Cochrane as this, person who saved humanity almost, by developing the first warp drive for humans. And so when they go back and they see him, it's like, seeing their hero. They just can't believe it. And he turns out he's not really that good of a guy. He's a bit of a drunk. He's a bit of a jerk. So he doesn't really live up to the high expectations they have for him. In fact, he hates that they kind of worship him. He's like, I'm just, I'm not anything great. I don't know. So he doesn't even like being the fact that everybody like looks up to him. He doesn't like that. So that was a kind of interesting idea that, they always say never meet your heroes. You meet your hero and he turns out not to be as good as you think. So I love that aspect of it, that they meet their hero and he's not that great. So that's a good, that was an interesting plot line, I thought. Overall, that I really enjoyed. And it was just great script-wise, just never a dull moment, very well paced, very on your edge. It's really the scariest of the Star Trek series. I mean, there's definitely some scary moments in the series because of the Borg, or the show. So I love how it's really more of a dark, scary movie compared to the other ones, and really keeps you on the edge of your seat. Really, really keeps you involved at all times because you never know when something's going to happen. And even the very end, they kind of swerve you where you think, oh my gosh, Data has turned his back on Picard and he's become part of the Borg, but then it turns out he's not. So it's this really great swerve moment that I love at the end. So just incredibly well done. And even the production is just so amazing. The makeup is really good. It's the best makeup job I've ever seen on Star Trek series. The Borg looks so great. The set designs are amazing. Costuming is really, really well done. It feels like every time I watch one of these movies, the costume is just a little bit different, even the uniforms. And I just thought the uniforms and everything just look really, really good. I mean, it's just a really, really nicely done movie. Really looks good on screen. So that's why, to me, it's definitely the best Star Trek movie and one of my favorite movies of all time, I would say. Very well done. So definitely check out that one. I would say check out First Contact and Voyage Home. I think even if you're not a Star Trek fan, those are such well-made movies. I think you'd enjoy it, even if you don't really know the series that well. Anyway, so that was a bit of a long video, but I just felt like I had to get through that. Always fun to look at a series like Star Trek and try to rate them like that. Anyway, so that's my ranking of Star Trek movies. So thank you for watching the video and for liking it, and tell me what you think. What's your favorite Star Trek movie? What's your least favorite? What do you think you'd rank them? And just thank you to all subscribers for supporting the channel. I really appreciate you. Have a good day.